Hello everyone and welcome to Art Chat. I'm Marge Lee and today we are in the Legacy Gallery of Tribby Arts Center talking to a true legacy to Shell Point, Phil Hilton. Welcome to Art Chat, Phil.
Good morning, Marge. Nice to be here.
Well, it's wonderful to be here with you, and we are here today because you are being honored as a 2022 Legacy Artist. Congratulations.
It's very humbling. Thank you.
Now, you are receiving this honor because of your service to the arts community here at Shell Point. Talk a little bit about all of the classes that you have taught our residents.
Gee, that goes back a ways. I've lived here almost 20 years, and I've always had my hand in teaching and doing art as long as I can remember. Of course, it goes way, way back, but since I've been here and had the nice art studio, I was even thrilled with the one we had in the tunnel, and we met there many times, and I count among the residents a lot of my friends I've made through art teaching.
Now, I want to talk about your artwork because in this exhibition honoring you, we have some beautiful works. So let's show them to the residents and talk a little bit about some of them.
My pleasure.
Let's go. Phil, you are a master at landscapes. Talk about what it means to do a landscape and how you are able to capture the mood of a place.
Actually, aside from having maybe some reference photos of parts of it, a lot of it comes from memories of places and times like this. At one time in my life, I lived 12 years in Wisconsin. And in the urban areas, you see this kind of a railroad crossing, so it just looks like a piece of a page out of my own history.
Oh, and you call it cold crossing, and one of the things you're so good at doing is making us feel the cold. I think this is a great example of that.
Well, I'm glad we started this one. When you hung this display, this happened to be one of my very favorites right here.
That's good. There's so many to choose from. Another one that I think is just very serene, lovely, heading home. And of course, we've got the wonderful, wonderful birds here who are heading home.
Well, I've seen scenes like this, particularly in Canada, where I used to like to go up and fish once in a while. And to me, the outdoor scenes is about the light. It's very subtle in this one and hardly any color to it, but just enough to make you feel like you might be looking in on this scene at dawn.
And everyone, when you look at this work, look at how beautifully, Phil, you have done the background here. I know that's not easy to do in watercolor. Talk about how you do that so skillfully.
Well, to show distance is called aerial perspective. It's not like the one where you look down a railroad to a disappearing point. But in this, you see successive misty images that just fade into the distance. So it makes you feel like you're seeing a great distance there. And of course, the birds and these close trees are hard edge, and you can see them very clean.
Real skill. And then we have the beautiful light here and beautiful light in these two works.
Same thing. The light is what it's all about. Without this beautiful rosy color here, it would be a mundane picture. But I think that's what made it.
Absolutely.
And the same with this one. There isn't much light, but again, it's reminiscent of places that I've been in Ontario, Canada. Just another lake. There's zillions of them up there, and I tried to catch fish in all of them with moderate success. I do better painting than I was fishing.
Well, let's now go look at the group of works about places that we live.
Okay.
Let's go take a look at those. Phil, anyone who has ever been in the Midwest will recognize this sort of scene.
You're quite right. I titled this Farm in Ohio, but it could be Indiana, Pennsylvania, any place you have those rolling hills. And it's got a lot of detail for a small picture, which isn't quite my style. I like to be realistic, but I used a one-hair brush on a lot of this because it's very fine detail. But people that have been in those areas and seen this kind of a place in the winter know what it's supposed to look like. So I had to be pretty careful to be authentic with it.
Yeah, and we do want to invite everybody to take take your time and look at all the details in this one, because you really are very accurate.
I have everything but the chickens. I think it was too cold for them.
I bet there's a chicken in there somewhere too. And then we get to another familiar scene, Farmer in the Dell. This reminds me of Pennsylvania in a way.
At least the weather has improved when we're looking at this one.
Right.
Seems to be springtime because there's some yellowness in the bushes. And the trick with this, what captured my mind to try it, was this rock wall.
It's beautiful.
I mean, everybody that sees this kind of zeroes in on this little farmhouse, but that rock wall was a challenge.
Yeah.
And I think it came out reasonably successful.
And I want to have everyone take a look, when you look at these two works, how you have used color to set the temperature, warmer, cold.
Absolutely.
Done that very, very skillfully. This is one of my favorite works. It's very reminiscent feeling.
Well, to me, it sort of looks European. I don't identify that with any place in my life. And it came into being because my wife, Barbara, had pulled some clipping out of a magazine and said, this might make a good painting. The only problem was, right in the middle, it had these posts that keep the cars from driving into that part of the street. And that sort of divided the picture into two parts, not good composition.
No.
So I fiddled around with it, and I pulled clippings myself of people on bicycles riding away, coming toward me. And I had a lady with a market basket. And then I finally settled on these two folks walking away. And I had to get them in the right proportion in relation to the height of this post. So I think it came out okay.
And you've got a lot of leaves here.
When I got through with this, I didn't want to paint another leaf for a long time.
I'm sure you did. But they're very effective the way you scattered them on the road here. And I love that these are older folks with a cane.
Reminds you of Shell Point, right?
It does. In fact, at first I thought this maybe was at Shell Point. And then I realized it wasn't, but it's a beautiful, beautiful image to show here at Shell Point, I think.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Well, let's move now from this idyllic, serene scene to something a little more frenetic. Let's look at the New York images.
Okay.
Phil, anyone who's ever been in New York City can identify with this scene.
Well, I found out who the New Yorkers are that live in Shell Point that see this. Oh yes, I know exactly where that is. And it looks just like that, so on and so on, which is gratifying as an artist. But I found that the challenge of making the lights and the distance was the key to this painting.
Has a very misty quality. And look carefully, New Yorkers, because you will see landmarks that you recognize in there.
I hope I got them right, because they'll tell me if I didn't.
That is true. Here's another scene. Again, for all you urbanites, I can really identify with this as well.
I've been told a number of times that L is not there anymore, which I knew when I painted it. It's sort of a memorial to the 6th Street L. And of course, again, the light was the challenge, to make it look like it's twilight and lots of things going on the street down below.
Well, you've done it beautifully. Just a lovely, lovely work. And again, everyone, notice the detail when you look at this painting. And where are we now?
Unlike New York, I feel I can talk a little more intelligently about Venice, because I've been there a couple of times, and I tried to capture not only the light, which is dramatic here, but a different view. You always see St. Mark's and the tourist view of Venice, and this is sort of a back alley look at it.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, it's, I think, maybe my favorite work in the whole exhibition. I've been to Venice. This is just so reminiscent of the romantic quality of the place.
Well, thank you. Coming from you, I really appreciate it.
And now let's talk about people and their pets.
Okay.
A lot of people are going to identify with these works.
Well, whether you have a Schnauzer or a St. Bernard, which you don't see many around Shell Point, this was interesting and difficult painting in a way. The technique used to portray these distant fuzzy trees is a little bit of a challenge in watercolor. You have to really go over it and over it without it making look like it was worked. And when people look at this, of course, they see the little boy and the dog.
Yeah.
And this is only background,
Right.
but it has to be right.
It has to be right, and the figures pop out so beautifully against that background. That's one of the first things I noticed about this
Well,
work.
it's so soft back here
Yeah.
and so hard-edged
Yeah,
in the subjects that makes it work.
absolutely. Same thing here, but here the figures in the foreground are a little fuzzy, a little kitty cat
Little bit,
here.
yeah, because of the light, the backlight on the cat, and the boy's edges are very light because of the source of light.
Yeah,
And we don't know what they're looking at out the window, but there's something out there. I call this painting contemplation because he looks like he's in deep thought.
yeah, very kind of wistful painting, I think.
Yeah.
Lovely. Cat lovers out there, this is for sale. And let's talk about another cat. This
Oh,
is just a fun work. This looks like Europe to me.
It sort of does, yeah. This cat just likes the sun, like all of them,
Yeah?
and is enjoying the day on the ledge there, probably a place that he sits every day.
Yeah. Just
But
being
I-
a cat.
I like the composition of this, and the shadow is most important in this layout. So we have rough wall, wood texture, lacy curtains,
Soft flower,
and an old flower pot.
old flower pot. And let's now talk about flowers. We're going to end our chat today talking about 3 really special works. Let's talk about those right now.
Okay.
Phil, this is quite a work. Talk about this one as well as the 2 works that flank it.
Well, everybody that paints, whether it's acrylic or oils or watercolor, does flowers.
Yeah.
And when I saw the drama of this, I don't know where I clipped the original idea from, but the brilliance popping out of a dark background was so unusual. So many of the floral pictures look like they're out of a seed catalog.
Yeah.
So I tried to make this look like dynamite. I'm important.
Well, somebody actually was looking at this and their first reaction was, is this a photograph? So that's how beautifully you have captured the detail in this flower.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
And then very lovely, soft
This is a
work
little
here.
less photographic, a little more artsy, mainly because of the immediate transition from the foreground to the background. It goes from detail to hardly any very quickly.
Exactly. And talking about detail, let's talk about this work here. Beautifully, beautifully done. Talk about it.
I just did this one within the last few months, and I was really looking for a still life subject, you know, maybe with bottles and books, and I came across this and I thought, that's dynamite if I could do that.
Yeah, yeah.
So I worked hard to see how to make the pears look like just like pear skin with a little drop or 2 on it.
Yeah, yeah.
And all of the fruit, I wanted you to feel like you could just pick it up and eat it right then.
Which is why you call it juicy fruit.
And actually the bowl was kind of interesting too. Rather than just a plain old bowl, it's one of those modelly wood kind of
Yeah,
finishes, and
yeah.
that added to it as well.
Just beautifully done. So congratulations on that.
I'm happy to be able to share all these paintings with everyone.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much for doing that. The exhibition is up until January 22nd, so come on in, take a look at these beautiful images. We'll see you again soon in Tribby Arts Center. Bye-bye.